at the hour of need. Luke chapter 22, I will consider verse 39 to 46. Luke chapter 22, I will consider verse 39 through 46. Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. On reaching the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not fall into temptation." He withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." An angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. When he rose from prayer, and went back to the disciples, he found them asleep, exhausted from sorrow. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up and pray so that you will not fall into temptation." At the hour of need, Jesus was facing the most darkest hour of his life and ministry. He was going to face the cross. One of his bosom friends, Judas Iscariot, agreed to betray him before the Sadducees, who are always sad. They conspired with the Roman authorities to crucify and kill Jesus so that his ministry will come to an end. Backtracking a bit to the beginning of chapter 22, Jesus has prepared the Lord's table and beginning to explain to the disciples that his hour to depart had come. So he gathered them together around the table, took bread. After he broke it, he said, "This is my body which is broken for you. Do this as often as you do it in my memory." Thereafter, after supper, he also took the cup, saying, "This cup is a new covenant in my blood. Drink all of it in my memory." So from there, straight from the Lord's table, he made his way to the garden called the Garden of Gethsemane. The Garden of Gethsemane was a place where he normally resorted to pray. Not just when he was faced with the hour of need. It was his custom to pray. And the church ought to pray all the time. You don't need to wait for a crisis for you to pray. You need to pray all the time. But Jesus was faced with the hour of need. The hour of need comes upon all of us from time to time, congregation. Elijah, after the epic encounter on Mount Carmel, he ran for his dear life because Jezebel was pursuing him. He prayed for divine euthanasia. We read in 1 Kings 19:4-5, "I have heard enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." He lay down under the tree and fell asleep, scared because Jezebel and all her army and forces she could muster was pursuing this prophet of God. John the Baptist had the privilege of introducing Jesus to the crowds. He said, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." And he said, "I am not the Messiah. He that comes up after me, I don't even have the ability to untie his shoelaces. He's greater than I am." And so John the Baptist was a forerunner of Jesus. And Jesus said of John the Baptist, "Of all men born of a woman, he is the greatest." He is the greatest prophet. Forget about all other prophets who are calling themselves greatest. The greatest prophet that Jesus testified about is John the Baptist. But John the Baptist came under the hour of need. He challenged the morality of Herod the king, and because of that, he was incarcerated. When he was locked up in prison, he began to question whether Jesus was indeed the Messiah. So John the Baptist sent some of his followers, his disciples, to go and inquire from Jesus, are you the Messiah, or should we expect another one? The hour of need can cause some doubts to come your way. You can begin to question the things you've tested, the things you've experienced, the things you've known to be true, because the trying moment and the testing moments can come upon you. The early church, after Pentecost, they grew from a bunch of guys who were huddling together in the upper room, 120 of them, to a mega church through one sermon of Peter. He declared that the day of Pentecost, and there were 3,000 converts. Within hours, a small church became a mega church. But in chapter 3, there was disaster. After they performed the miracle of healing the paralytic who lay by the gate called Beautiful, at the third hour of prayer, persecution broke out. Peter and John were locked up and imprisoned. It was their time of need. My brothers and sisters, today, with the majority ruling of the Court of Appeal recently to recognize LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and all associated groups, and with the notice to file a motion by Muturi Kigano, the MP for Kangema, and Parliament to regulate religious organizations, including their accounts and their academic qualification, the church is faced with turbulent times ahead of us. This is not to mention the new discussion that is now in gaining currency of trying to lower the age of sexual consent by amending sections of Sexual Offense Act. There seems to be a concerted, multi-pronged attack on the church and the family institution. Today, my brothers and sisters, the day is far much spent, the night is closing in, and the church of Jesus Christ must rise up and realize the enemy is at work, using all sorts of circles and influence to try and muzzle the voice of the church and break the fabric of the family and the morality of the society. In the midst of all these pressures around us, there are in our midst people who are faced with very, very trying moments. At your personal level, your back is against the wall. Maybe the doctor has issued a bad report regarding your condition. It's incurable. Maybe they have given you a time based on the knowledge that God has given them, which we respect. Factually speaking, humanly speaking, they're almost accurate as medical doctors. They are trained to diagnose based on the facts available using the latest technology available. They may have given you a bad report. Maybe, young lady, that gentleman was double dealing you. He has dropped you like a hot potato. Relationships are broken. You are going through a painful moment in your life. It is your time of need. How should we face this time of need that is upon us as a church, as families, and as individuals? 3 things from the text I read to us I want to share with us briefly before I am done. The first 2 is what Jesus did, and the third one was the outcome of the 2 things that Jesus had done. The first thing that Jesus did is he engaged in prayer. In the hour of need, church, CITAM Valley Road, engage in prayer. Secondly, in the hour of need, enlist others and prayer. Get all the prayer support you can. Rally troops to stand in the gap and pray. And finally, in the hour of need, having engaged in prayer and having enlisted others in prayer, expect a miracle. Expect a miracle. Expect divine visitation.